Hi there, here to do a reading today for Matthew. Matthew, I believe I've read for you before, but today we're going to use a different deck. I decided today to use in my effort to kind of branch out and do something different on here. I've been trying to use non-taught decks just for kicks, really, and also just been in the mood for it lately. But anywho, for you today, thought I would use the Illuminati Tarot that came out last year. It was a big deal when this deck came out. It was highly anticipated. I couldn't wait for this deck to come out, and then it came out, and I mean, this video is not intended to be a review video for this deck, but I mean, to summarize my opinion of the deck, I think that if the cards were bigger, I think it would be more successful. But anywho, it's still a nice deck, still works just fine. And so to talk a little bit also about your reading today, as we discussed via email, I am no longer offering opening of the keys for people, just so that everyone knows. People who may be watching this video, I am no longer offering those. The link is still on the site. I've been meaning to take it down, but I will not do one anymore. Okay, and that is more just because I feel like, having used it for a number of years for people on and off, I don't feel confident enough to say that it works 100% successfully every single time. And that is, I think, more just because I am not as good at that spread as I probably should be in order to be offering it professionally. I think that I tend to do it much better when I'm reading for myself, and I think that the opening of the key works best when one is reading for themselves. But long story short, I will no longer be offering that. I will be offering Celtic Cross, and I'm going to start offering 15 card spreads, the 3-3-3-3-3 spread in that weird, like, box that you go around in a spiral. But anywho, Matthew, okay, so let's start. I already shuffled the deck and pulled out your significator, which for you I used, because you are Pisces, Cancer, I used Prince of Cups for you, and that will be your significator for today. Okay. So right away we see on the bottom card, your bottom card is the Hanged Man, but we'll talk about that in a minute. I hope the glare isn't too bad here to be able to see what's going on. Also, I'm all dressed up because I had a funeral today and I have church again later, so I've got to stay in this outfit. Okay, so covering you is the King of Wands. Crossing you is the Two of Swords. Crowning you is the Two of Wands. Grounding is the Eight of Pentacles. Excuse me. Past is the Prince of Wands, and the immediate future is the Nine of Swords. And then up the side we have seeing yourself as the Emperor. Outside influences the Queen of Swords. Hopes and fears, the Wheel of Fortune. One more if I can squeeze it in here, the Nine of Wands. Okay, so now your question, Matt, was that I asked was, you told me that you are graduating from college soon, and that you are hoping to change your focus, that you majored in econ, but that you are hoping to switch into an arts career. So, here's what I see. I think that this overall has well, I think it has good energy about it. I'll go right just around here. To begin, you have a lot of fire in this reading, which I think shows your drive and desire to make this happen for yourself. But I get this sense that you're just stuck in the practical end of things. I think that your main concern is, how do you switch this career while still being able to make money, really. You know, how are you going to deal with whatever financial issues come your way? And also, I see possibly that there is, I don't know if you have a family member who is perhaps not feeling quite as idealistic as you are about all this, And I think there's someone in your life that is um, telling you to be rational and telling you to be practical, and that's represented by the Queen of Swords here. And in some ways, is she's the source of whatever negative energy is here, because there is a little bit in your future. But let's go right from the top. From the beginning, we have the King of Wands as your overall situation, which tells me that you are a very creative person, that you have a lot of ideas that you want to put into effect. You're a creative person. King of Wands can be artistic sometimes, because wands are so much about creativity and production. And inspiration, really, sort of natural inspiration as opposed to invoked inspiration, which is more what the swords are about. And I think that you see yourself as having this ability of yours very much under control, like you have a good grip on it, and that I see with the Emperor. You just have you have a lot of interestingly enough, very like masculine fire stuff here. But crossing you, however, is the Two of Swords, which tells me that you really aren't entirely sure about this. You have your doubts, and it is not quite clear to you which way you should go. And I think you do feel like you're torn in two different directions. That I don't know that you particularly love one more than the other. At least that isn't what this is saying here. Um, I think that creativity and this arts career that you're looking for is important to you. And I think that it's a big part of who you are, clearly. But I don't know that you need to necessarily switch gears entirely here. Because I don't know. I'm going to keep going here. Let's see. So, grounding you in the situation is the Eight of Pentacles. And again, that reinforces to me the idea. Excuse me. What, Dad? Sorry, my parents are driving me crazy here. They know I'm trying to do this and they keep talking to me. I don't know why. Okay, sorry about that. So, grounding you is the Eight of Pentacles. And that again reinforces to me the idea that you have practicality sort of at the forefront of your thinking process here. I think you also the other thing I get from that is that you've also worked hard at developing this. You've worked hard at your education to complete your econ major, and you have slowly cultivated the skill set that you need to be successful in that. And I don't know if it's a great thing to suddenly switch entirely from that and to sort of disregard the work that you've already put into that. Again, you don't have any other earth cards in your reading, and I think that some of that earthiness is something that you are in need of and are lacking at the moment, and I think that that is a concern for you. I think that you're stuck in this pit with the Hanged Man because of these more practical issues, and I think it says that you practically speaking, you have put your resources into the work that you've been doing for the past however many years. And so that type of energy is a good energy for you here, and I don't know that starting all over again is really necessary or a good idea. In the past, you have the Prince of Wands, which tells me that you possibly used to be more like exploratory or more adventurous in some ways, and I feel like you have lost that to some extent, and that might be more why you are wondering about ways you can sort of reclaim that kind of creativity in your life. You know, maybe it is that you feel like you just can't be as creative as you would like in the field of economics. Excuse me. But I don't know that that's necessarily true, and I don't necessarily know that you can't do both, you know, at the same time. Um, okay, I'm gonna crown, and the reason I get that is because crowning you is the Two of Wands, and the Two of Wands tells me that the best thing for you to do in this situation is to be ambitious, and I almost see it as a response to the Two of Swords. The Two of Swords has you torn in both directions and therefore being sort of stagnant about it and unsure. But the Two of Wands, I think, is telling you that you could have the energy and wherewithal to do both, you know, and sort of wield both energies at the same time. Um, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm getting from that. Especially since you have such dominant energy here within you that I think if you harnessed, there's no reason why you couldn't do both. I think you feel, I think, that you have to choose because you have a person in your life who is telling you that you have to choose. This Queen of Swords figure, you know, if she's your mother or I would say she's your mom, but seems to me your mom is telling you that, you know, you need to stay practical, you need to stay focused, this is what, you know, adults do, this is what rational people do, etc. And I think that that is sort of what is making you reevaluate things and just sort of be confused in general. And I don't see that necessarily improving in the immediate future. I think it says that if you continue along this path, her influence is going to continue to take root in you and really make you feel quite anxious and awful about this situation. Excuse me, and I think it's important for you to not allow her to bully you like that either. You know, and it's important for her to understand that, you know, this is your choice, and that you have the wherewithal, you have the confidence in yourself, and you have the ability to be able to make this work for yourself. I think you just have to take that step and go for it. You know, and I think your hopes and fears are represented by the wheel, which tells me that you are hopeful that I almost get the sense that you are. I don't know necessarily that the wheel is representing a hope in this situation because it's so connected to the Queen of Swords, the Nine of Swords, and the Two of Swords, and that whole cluster of air there is just a big cloud of ugh. It's not good, and it's clouding your judgment, really. And I think you're concerned. I think your mother has you concerned that anything can happen in life, and you have to be prepared for that. And if you don't have money saved up, and if you don't have a good job, you know, that's steady and blah blah blah, then, you know, shit's gonna hit the proverbial fan, and you'll be up a creek without a paddle. So I think that is that is in some ways a big fear for you. It's kind of dominating here because you only have the Emperor and the Wheel as your two major arcana here. You know, if we don't count the Hanged Man, those are your two big ideas in this reading. And the funny thing is that both of those ideas really conflict with each other, in my opinion. On one hand, you feel like I've got this. You know, I've got the ability to do this, the power to do this. You know, I hold the world in my hand, kind of literally here. And your other fear is that, well, no, the world doesn't really work like that, and the world could, you know, screw me over at the drop of a hat. And I think that, you know, you have to understand that both of those statements are true. And that the universe can also be benevolent. It isn't always just a dark, chaotic mess of things, and it isn't always out there to get you. You know, if you are doing what you are meant to do in terms of your personality and who you are, and if you are expressing yourself the way that you're supposed to express yourself, then the universe is far more inclined to leave you alone and let things open up to you as necessary, in their proper time and season. And I think, maybe that's something else that's on your mind. If I were to read the wheel as a hope, then I would say, that is something you hope for, that the universe will sort of just take its course, and that you'll be able to sort of make things fit in. But I get more the sense that you feel this impending sense of gloom and doom that will happen to you if you don't take the path of most lucrativeness, Okay, now let's see. Your overall outcome here is the Nine of Wands, and that resonates very well with the Nine of Swords. And I think that it's telling me that if you continue to allow your mother, or whoever the Queen of Swords is, to tell you how to go about doing this or things in general, you're going to have to bite the bullet and sort of just grin and bear it for a long time, and not necessarily do something that you really love. I think we have to try to figure out a way for you to balance both of these things in life, both of these fields that you're involved in, both art and econ. And if you can find a way to make them both work, have you considered arts administration or anything like that? There's a whole business end of art that is incredibly important, and we need people who know the business end of things. Trust me, I do arts for a living, and one-on-one for a minute. I'll be very honest with you. I love my jobs. Okay, I love my jobs, but I have to have multiple of them in order to make my life work. And some of them are not great, and some of them don't even have anything to do with my career in music or anything like that. And, I think it's important as artistic people to have other skill sets, practical skill sets, because in the real world, you cannot really live alone unless you're incredibly gifted and have managed to accrue the recognition for your work that is necessary to be particularly lucrative in this business. Unless you have that in place already, it is very difficult to make it work. And you do have to find something else to supplement it. You just do. And so I guess my point to you, again, is just to continually reiterate this, is just I think what's best for you is to figure out a way to do both, or to make both work together, so that, and that is not being said just so that you can make your mother happy. I think that's the important thing here too, is to remember that whatever choice you make is not to make your mother happy. That is not why you should make a choice about your life path or your career. Your mother is important, and your mother's opinion is valid, but your mother's opinion is not the deciding factor in how you live your life, and that is very important, okay, to remember, especially at this age. So, my advice to you from this reading overall is to just, tap into that courage that I know you have, and that creative energy that you have within you is going to supply you with that. I think don't feel like you have to lay down and take it so much from other people. And also don't feel like you're as helpless as you kind of feel. I know leaving college is kind of scary, and it is, and it's very intimidating. But I think that, you just need to tap into that confidence that I think you have, and trust your abilities, because I see, lots of really good creative energy in this reading. Just this whole section is really great, but it's almost like I get this cloud of ick sort of coming over it, sort of slowly emanating from the Queen of Swords here, and it's just sort of blocking everything out slowly but surely. It's almost like seeing mist slowly come up from the ground, you know. And I think that overall this reading is mostly fiery. It really is. But your overall outcome is an interesting combination of both this fiery energy that you have with also this anxiety and doubt. And so I cannot get myself to interpret the Nine of Wands in any way other than, you know, a sort of prolonging sense of anxiety and doubt and unsurety, and instead choosing a path that is in some ways, I kind of want to say more difficult. You know, having the strength to be able to get through it, but feeling tired and not as inspired, perhaps, as you would like to be. And so, again, we have to figure out a way to prevent that, I think. And I think, again, the Two of Wands as your advice card is telling you to just take that leap in some ways and just live for yourself. You know, live for yourself and your own situation. Cover, as they say, cover your own ass. So make sure that your financial situation is makes sense, but you know, don't feel like you have to choose one or the other. I don't think it's so much of a black and white choice as much as it is a gray conclusion, you know. All right. So thank you very much for your purchase of the reading today, and thank you for your patience. I know it took me a while to get this to you because I was sick all week, but I hope it was helpful, and I hope that some of my advice makes sense and that you'll consider it. Okay. And otherwise, I wish you the best of luck. So let me know if you have any questions or any feedback. All right. Thank you very much, Matt.